Okay, let's just get right into it. You've got, what, 20 years of rock solid experience, right? You've led teams, you've managed massive budgets, you've delivered incredible results. But then you apply for that dream job in a new industry and you get that rejection letter. The reason? It always says the same thing. You lack relevant industry experience. It is so frustrating and it feels like you're hitting a brick wall. But what if I told you the problem isn't your skills at all? It's the language you're using. So check this out. This one fact should completely change how you think about your career. A full 65% of professional skills transfer directly across industries. That's not a small number. I mean, a finance director in retail, they're using these same fundamental models as one in healthcare. The core skills are identical. So, what is going on? Why the disconnect?
It all comes down to this one soul-crushing phrase. You see this on an email and you know your resume wasn't even really understood. Your 2 decades of hard-won expertise were just dismissed. All because the person, or let's be honest, the machine, reading it didn't recognize its value in their world. Well, today, we're going to fix that.
Here's how we're going to do it. We're going to walk through a solid strategic framework to help you translate your expertise and finally break through that wall. First, we'll look at the 3 big barriers holding you back. Then, I'll give you the tools to translate your skills and map out your path. We'll even figure out how to frame being an outsider as your biggest advantage. And then we'll wrap it all up with a concrete 5-day action plan you can start tomorrow.
So this is absolutely crucial to understand. This is not a skill gap. It is a translation gap. There are 3 specific hurdles that cause your perfectly relevant experience to get completely lost in translation. Let's break them down.
First up is what I call the jargon wall. Think of it like this. Every industry speaks its own dialect. You're completely fluent in your industry's language, but this new industry, they speak a slightly different version. Your resume is written in perfect retail, but the hiring manager is scanning for someone who speaks healthcare. And here's what that looks like in the real world. In retail, you talk about managing shrinkage. In manufacturing, it's called scrap rate. But over in healthcare, they call the exact same concept waste reduction. The skill underneath, cost containment, process integrity, is identical. But if your resume says shrinkage, a healthcare recruiting system might have no idea what you're talking about.
Second, and this is a big one, you have the applicant tracking system, the ATS, keyword mismatch. You see, these software gatekeepers are programmed with a specific keyword map for every role, and that map can change dramatically between industries even when the job title is exactly the same.
Let's look at a super clear example. A VP of operations in tech, the ATS is looking for words like agile and DevOps. But that same role in manufacturing, now it's looking for lean and Six Sigma. Both jobs are about process optimization, but their keyword universes are worlds apart. Your resume, which is perfectly optimized for tech, is going to score terribly in a manufacturing scan. And the third barrier, well, this is the human one, the no industry experience filter. This is just a default setting for so many hiring managers, especially in specialized fields. They just assume an outsider won't get the nuances, the regulations, or the customers. But here's the truth they are completely missing. You have navigated complex regulations. You have managed incredibly demanding stakeholders. You've solved deep, thorny operational challenges. The fundamental capability is absolutely there. The context was just different. So now, let's learn how to prove it.
Okay, our first major insight is a tool that is basically your personal Rosetta Stone for this new industry language. It's called the Skill Translation Matrix, and it's a systematic way for you to convert your vocabulary without losing any of the power of your achievements. Here's how it actually works. Let's say we have a retail director moving to healthcare. In column 1, you put what you call it, a loss prevention program. In column 3, you identify the universal skill underneath, cost containment. Then, through your research, you find what they call it in column 2, a waste reduction initiative. Boom! Your new resume uses the language from column 2, and suddenly your experience is instantly recognizable.
Building this matrix is your homework. Job postings are your dictionary. You need to analyze about 20 of them. Read industry magazines and websites. Go study the LinkedIn profiles of people who have the exact job you want. The goal here is to build a solid vocabulary list of about 30-40 key terms that you can then weave throughout your resume.
Next up, we've got to get strategic. See, not all industry jumps are created equal. Some industries share so much operational DNA that the transition is just way, way smoother. And we can visualize this with what we call the crossover compatibility map. This chart shows us some of those high compatibility pairs. Take manufacturing to aerospace, an 85% skill overlap. Now, why is it so high? Because they share that deep operational DNA. Both are built on Lean and Six Sigma, they both have insanely complex supply chains, and they're both obsessed with quality control. It's the same story for retail to hospitality, an 80% overlap because they're both driven by customer experience and managing seasonal demand. Targeting a high compatibility pair is just taking the path of least resistance. And please, remember this, especially for those of us with a few decades under our belts. Our greatest assets are these universal skills. You have deep experience in leadership, in strategic planning, and crisis management. These skills transcend any single industry. Your resume needs to lead with these massive universal strengths, and then support them with your newly translated industry specifics. Now for my favorite part. It is time to stop thinking of your background as a weakness you have to apologize for, and start framing it as your strategic weapon. Being an outsider is a genuine, powerful advantage, and guess what? There's data to prove it. I love this slide because it's got the hard data. Harvard Business Review found that people hired from other industries drive up to a 17% higher rate of innovation. And McKinsey found that leadership teams with diverse industry backgrounds are 21% more profitable. Your fresh perspective isn't a liability, it's a quantifiable business asset. So how do you actually communicate this on your resume? You use what I call the cross-pollination bullet. Don't just say you increase adherence by 22%. Explain how. You introduced a retail-proven methodology. You see the difference? You didn't succeed in spite of coming from retail. You succeeded because of it. Next is the universal scale bullet. Don't let a hiring manager mentally downplay your experience. If you managed a $180 million P&L in retail, add a direct comparison. Operational complexity equivalent to a regional hospital network. You are literally doing the translation work for them right there on the page. And finally, the transformation bullet. This one connects your past achievements directly to their future needs. You led a digital transformation of an inventory system. Great. Now add the phrase, methodology directly applicable to clinical workflow digitization. You're basically telling them, hey, that big problem you're trying to solve, I've already solved one just like it. Okay, we have covered a lot of theory, and we've talked about the tools. Now, let's make it real. This is your concrete, 5-day plan to build a resume that actually gets you noticed. Think of this as a 5-day sprint. Day 1, you dive deep into research mode. Day 2 is all about building out that skill translation matrix we talked about. On day 3, you do the big rewrite using everything we've discussed. Day 4 is for finding any small knowledge gaps and maybe signing up for a relevant newsletter or certification. And then day 5, and this is crucial, you test your brand new resume against a real job posting using an ATS parser to see how well it scores. So I'm going to leave you with this question. After everything we've just covered, do you still see your background as a liability? Or do you now see it for what it really is, your secret weapon? The whole key is translation. And hey, if you want to make absolutely sure your resume is translated perfectly and ready to beat the system, tools like Pass the Scan can analyze it against those industry keywords and give you specific feedback to make sure that secret weapon is fully armed and ready to go.